Hello and welcome back to the Across the Pod NFL podcast. Time for another team season preview, and this time the team of focus is the Indianapolis Colts. I am, as ever, your host, Annie Davis. With me today, I've got a brand new guest on the podcast. It is UK Colts fan, Harrison Woods. Harrison, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on. Like we just saying, we managed to squeeze it in. Everything seems to be ramping up now, which is nice. Football, well, we've got a bit of pre-season, but I know a few people would say that's not real football, so no injuries and on to week one.
No, exactly. I mean, there's been a couple of injuries today. I mean, there's the Vikings especially. We had the JJ McCarthy news that he's out for the entire season. Further news of Jordan Addison going down with an injury, being carried off the field. I mean, even though it's such a meaningless time of the year, you just have to worry that whether it's in a couple of snaps in one preseason game or whether it's in training, that your star player doesn't go out. Because if, say, the Chiefs lost Mahomes in a preseason friendly or in training camp or something, then that would be their season over. Same with a lot of teams at quarterback. So, yeah, it's sort of a time where the results don't matter and sort of doesn't really matter what happens the next few weeks, but you just pray to God that the gods aren't against you.
Yeah, I've never been a religious man, but I know who I'm praying to when I watch. And every time I see Anthony Richardson in pre-season, I'm like, why? Don't even risk it. But you've got to believe in the guys behind the computers who know what they're doing. They're a lot more qualified than me sitting in my armchair.
That's the thing. We all love to. It goes to any sport, whether it's a sport I know you like as well as me, football as well as NFL. We don't sit here and think we know what we're doing. We know what the manager should do this or the head coach should do that. But in the grand scheme of things, they've been paid money for a reason, and we're the ones watching on a chair or in the stadium. So yeah, it's always easy to look on the other side, but yeah, it must be awfully stressful if you're involved in it firsthand.
Yeah, I like you say, we're fans. We get to criticise from afar. That's part of our right. We buy into it. But like you say, as a Colts fan, we experienced it last year. You think Anthony Richardson burst onto the scene. You think this is it. We can forget about the Phillip Rivers and the Carson Wentzes. And then a game or two in, he's gone for the season. And then you're back to the Minshews and you're like, I thought we got past this.
Well, let's jump it and ask you that. I want to ask you some questions first, but I'll go into that now about Anthony Richardson. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he is a guy that I myself, as a Florida Gators fan, still is big on him going into the draft. And obviously went to the Colts and albeit only played a handful of games, but he showed in the brief period just what he can do and why he's seen as Cam Newton 2.0. What are you feeling about him? Because some players, especially when they're young, come back from injuries and they're absolutely fine. But we also saw Robert Griffin III, how he performed after his injury. So how are you feeling about him and overcoming his health issues, health concerns ahead of 2024?
Yeah, I mean, so if we go back to 2023 when we drafted Anthony Richardson, it was excitement, I suppose, for all Colts fans. It would have been easy for Chris Barr to sit there and take Will Levis because that was a safe pick. But for me, I could only see the only negative criticism I could see of Anthony Richardson from anyone was we've not seen enough of him, or he's still a rookie, and a rookie in a college sense. I know I don't watch a lot of college football, but he was only there a year before he went into the draft or something.
I believe it was 1 or 2 years. I think it might be 2 years, but definitely at least one.
Yeah, he's still a baby, he's still green, he's still a sprog, however we want to put it. So I was just excited that we went with the athlete at quarterback. We went with the exciting read option. We was transitioning away from that someone who's going to stand in the pocket and pass it 6 yards to a check down. And he was the first quarterback we had since Andrew Luck, who was, I think everyone can agree, if he stays fit, is a generational talent. And going into this year, we just, he's a big guy. What is he? He's like 6'4", 2 something. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's a big guy. that's like he can be a freight train in college because the kids are still growing at that age. Not everyone grows at the same rate. You can run over and run through the little defensive backs. This is the NFL. You can't run through Micah Parsons. I know he's not playing this year, but Aaron Donald came to mind straight away. I know he's retired, but you can't run through them big noise tackles. So for me, I would love to see him pass more because obviously I'm not seeing a lot of it. So that seems like quite a cop-out answer. But what I mean by that from my perspective is I know he can do the read option. I know he can run, he can spin. I know he's athletic. Can he take his game to the next level in the passing game? Can he get through his reads? And that is easy for me to say sitting on my couch going, Alec Pierce is wide open. Alec Pierce is wide open. As we know, it's a lot different when you're actually playing the game.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game, and you think as well. We're often saying these things like he was open and all blah blah blah, all this stuff when we're watching it. About a million replays. Play happened 20 seconds ago. It's then in slow motion, whereas these guys have, I think the average is, I want to say 2.4 seconds is the average.
Yeah.
Pass a throw the ball. But you've got to think about memorizing the play, where everyone's going, adding the fact that you've got guys who are sometimes twice the size of a quarterback, or the 200, 300 pounds coming at you at speed. So then think about, you got to then see the guys open. Mm-hmm. It's got to be one of the hardest jobs in sport. It's one of the more sort of, if you do well, it's one of the more sort of heralded positions. If you do well, you're seen as a god, and especially maybe for smaller marketplaces like like a Cincinnati or even Indianapolis, maybe not so much LA because they've got Kobe, they've got me, but it's such a hard position to play, and I would love, the boy in me, the teenager or the adult. Or I say teenager, I'm 30 next year. That shows how quickly time's gone. But the young boy in me always wants to be a quarterback. But when I think about it now, I'm glad I wasn't, because there's no way my brain can process information quickly enough to do all that. So, yeah, my hat goes out to any of them. Even, these guys who are like the obvious one you like to say is Nathan Peterman. One of the worst quarterbacks you've ever seen in the NFL, I've ever seen. But you put him against me or you, or against just an average high school team. Or when he was even in high school himself, he was probably the man. He was probably like the guy. So it just shows the level just to get to the NFL and get from NFL to then get past your rookie deal, getting your second contract, and then staying in the league for 20 years, like a Rodgers, like a Brady, like a Stafford almost now. It's huge credit to these guys, because I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, it's like you say, the most I've seen of Anthony Richardson is burning third, fourth string DBs, and that's nice. That's nice, but like you say, that's the 80% of all NFL sports level is that 80%. Where you get probably about 500 guys a year who are chopped and changed, released and cut, traded for just pittance. One day they're in the facility, the next day it's back to the car sales lot and go and do your car sales job. I need him to step up, and it's weird because I think I'm just excited because, like you say, the Colts, we haven't had someone draw this much attention to Indianapolis for good reason since like the likes of Andrew Luck, and I suppose Indy's star is Pat McAfee, but he's all media now. He's all talk. He's trying to drag it in, and you've got to look at that. That maybe that helped convincing Anthony Richardson this is a project, because he could have pulled the Eli Manning card, because the Colts were not in a good place when we drafted him. Obviously, going through Jeff Saturday as a head coach, who, if you ask me, did his job perfectly. He tanked very well. It was a bit of a mess, so it would have been easy for him to say, I don't want to touch that. But so I just want to see that leadership from him of being an adult. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but the greatest players in all the sports, and they mature quickly. The best players on a football soccer pitch, they're the guys who are looking over the shoulder and know who to cover because someone's gone forward or someone's gone backwards or there's a third man over to the left. So it's is he going to step up and be that man for Shane Steichen? I know he can. It's just a big, as a Colts fan, we're going into another season with a big what if question. We know what he can do. It's better because it's not a washed up, over the hill veteran who can't throw the ball 5 yards in Philip Rivers, who I loved in the end, but he wasn't going past 7 yards with a throw. And Carson Wentz, you never knew if he was going to get a 40-yard touchdown or throw a pick six in his own end zone. It's just nice to have something, like you say, that's exciting.
Absolutely, and I think it's definitely reason to be optimistic, and I do think you are probably one of the more stepped-on teams, I think, going into 2024 season. I think it's the dark horses. I think you have to be in that conversation as one of the dark horses to potentially challenge for Super Bowl. I think certainly, on paper you probably aren't going to make it, but I think you guys certainly have the sort of the players that could cause some surprise, and really goes into the ins and outs of your off season. You think about the likes you've re-signed the likes of DeForest Buckner, you've brought back Julian Blackman, Taven Bryan, Danny Pinter, and Trey Derman. You brought in the likes of Joe Flacco and Raekwon Davis. You franchise tagged Michael Pittman before eventually signing him to a $71 million contract. Also, Zaire Franklin. Can't remember whether he was franchise tagged or given a new deal. And then out to the likes of Matt Ryan to retirement, Gardner Minshew and Zach Sermon. And then finally in the draft, you took UCLA defensive end Laiatu Latu, 15th overall. You took Adonai Mitchell, the Texas wide receiver, 52nd overall. But there's others such as Matt Gonzalez, tackle from Pittsburgh, 79th overall. And also 117th overall, you took Tonna Bortoloni, center from Wisconsin. Overall, for you, Harrison, your take on the team off season as a whole?
I want to say I'm at a point now where I trust Chris Ballard with whatever he's doing. I wish I could break down all these guys for you expertly, but I don't have the time of the day to sit down and watch 1,000 college snaps of a 7th round tackle. Some guys out there on the internet absolutely do, and fair play to them. But I'm at the point now where I can trust what Chris Ballard does. I know he likes his trenches. That's why he goes for. God, I'm going to get the name so wrong. I've got it up here because I forget all the time. Let me find it. Oh God, I've lost the page. Bortolini was it, and the other one that sounds so disrespectful, but essentially it was an O lineman and a D lineman, I think. I got it up here.
Matt Gonzalez?
That's it, yeah. They're not very sexy picks. They're not very attractive picks in the sense they're not the shiniest things, but the last GM we had that was picking things for shiny reasons was Ryan Grigson. So that worked out very well. I'm sure all Colts fans love Grigson and definitely don't want to run him out of Indianapolis with an angry mob behind him. So we like our trench battles in Indy, especially with JT behind the line, and that was so important, getting him to a new deal last year. It looked like it wasn't going to happen and all parties fell out, and there was a lot of he said on Twitter, and in the end it all worked out. And boosting up that oil line and the depth of the oil line is so important when you have a read option quarterback, running back, hybrid attack. I tell you, I like Mitchell. I thought that was a clever pick. Obviously, Latu, I could tell you all the things you probably already know about the guy because he was a first round pick. What I liked about Latu and what I've seen out of him running around in shorts on an empty field and the first game of preseason is he is fast. He is so fast off the snap. Like, if he can really fine tune his skills, which I'm sure I know he's training with someone quite prestigious. I couldn't tell you the name off the top of my head, but it's quite a prestigious individual trainer who's done multiple people. He's going to be a problem, and we've been looking for that for years. Quitty Pay hasn't really, unfortunately, suffered an injury in his first year, I think, but hasn't really made that step up to next level edge threat. Samson Mabukin was having a good back end of the year, but he's gone out injured this preseason, so he's probably going to be out for the season. And so we're relying a lot on him, and it's tough for the defensive ends in the Colts defensive unit because Bradley likes a lot of four-man rushes, which to my demise and hatred is going to be the death of me. I'm very much a heavy blitz guy, but like you say, he obviously knows more than me. And his defense was shredded last year, so no surprise to see defense number go in the first round for the Colts. I do like our fifth round pick, Anthony Gold, wide receiver, who it seems like Chris Ballard has gone for. He's got his two big guys. You've got the big nasty and Michael Pittman, who's a wide receiver tight end in the sense that he can do the blocking for the run and the RPO game. And then you have the deep threat in Alec Pierce, who he just needs a quarterback Alec Pierce. He really does. He can't be dealing with Minshew's and Ryans and Wentz's who can't get the ball down there. He needs a quarterback. I know with Richardson's arm power, we can get that. So it looks like Ballard's happy on his deep threat guys in Pittman and Pierce, and now he's gone for some sort of, he's gone for a group of slot and quick slant receivers in Josh Downs, Mitchell, and Anthony Gold. And I think that because Anthony Gold, he run it was a 4.39 40-yard dash. That the last person for the Colts to run a 4.39, if I got this right, was Jonathan Taylor. So to pick up that speed in the fifth round, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, I always like to take Dash the pinch of salt because if John Ross had the record for many years, and you see the list of actually the top 10, 20, 40-yard dashes, it's a whole list of no names and busts. So, but at the same time, it's still impressive. You can't deny that. So that's always good to know. But I always think that I like to sometimes take that with a pinch of salt. Now, before we go on to the win-loss tie segment, you are a new guest. I'm going to ask all of our new guests the same kind of question. You are, of course, part of the Colts UK. But why the Colts? Out of all the teams you could have picked in the NFL, out of all the 32 teams, what made you decide on the Indianapolis Colts?
It was probably, well, to me, he's a well-known running back. Maybe not to wider NFL fans, but to Joseph Adai. That he was a main part of the Colts Super Bowl run in 2006. I wish I could say I knew that before I downloaded Madden, the demo game in 2007, all these years ago. It was a free demo on Xbox 360. And it was the two teams on there were the Packers and the Colts. I don't know why I chose the Colts out of them two. It was just a pure random. And I really enjoyed If I Die. Not that I knew what I was doing. I was just going forward with the ball and hoping for the best. And, we didn't really have the coverage. The NFL over here now has amazing coverage, and I think it's great. A place where I used to work now have the Jacksonville Jaguars tag franchise over there, doing the tag football with the kids and stuff like that. And when Jacksonville come over, they come over every year because it's the second home for them. Mm-hmm. I think they send maybe like a third string cornerback up. They send someone up to, come and speak to the kids, which is really good. We didn't have that back then. I say back then, God, I feel like I'm so old when I say that.
Almost 10 years ago now, which is crazy. I mean, I'm sure you'll remember that you're an Arsenal fan. I saw on your Twitter,
Yeah.
and that final against Barcelona was almost 20 years ago now. That and to Dan Headbutt almost 20 years ago now, which is insane.
Yeah, it's mental, isn't it? And yeah, so I'll get back to my original point. We didn't have that coverage, so I just went away thinking, oh, the Colts are amazing, the Colts are everything. Watched maybe an odd game that was on BBC because I didn't have Sky. We didn't have Sky Sports or BT or any of that. So I watched whatever game was in London that year. It wasn't the Colts. I think it was a Jacksonville versus Denver or something horrendous like that. But then you start going on the internet and I start reading up about this Andrew Luck kid. You know, I've heard the Colts are terrible. Family friends who lived in America, they sent me an Indianapolis Colts cap, which I kept for ages. I've lost it now, but that was part of it. So I start reading up on Andrew Luck. Who's Andrew Luck? Oh my God. The Colts are going to get this Andrew Luck. He's the best quarterback ever. You know, to me, I don't know anything about Joey Montana or, you know, I didn't even really know Peyton Manning at the time. I knew he played for the Colts and was a legend of the game. I had no idea who Tom Brady was. So I was like, this Andrew Luck kid, whew, he's going to be the best thing ever. And then you get suckered into it like you do with anything. You play well for a year. You're like, yeah, we'll just run it back next year. We'll be Super Bowl champions next year. And then he gets injured. And you're like, right, next year. And then it's next year and next year. And yeah, it grew from there on in.
Fair play. That's quite a good story. I love that. It's you got a mixture of Madden there. You got a mixture of watching it on TV. You got a mixture of watching a game in London. You've sort of combined three of the main factors I find in the UK fans' choices in one. So yeah, it's quite a good little story. But we are going to head to our win-loss tie segment. For those of you who are listening at home for the first time, each fan who comes on predicts their team's record by going through each game and answering with a win-loss tie answer. Now, before we go on to your week one game against the Texans, I wanted to also ask you about the comments from TJ Stroud, their quarterback. So this was on the $1 million worth of game podcast. He said that, so I think originally Colts linebackers Zaire Franklin and EJ Speed said, I need to see that boy again. While Speed also added that he respects Stroud, but is going to mess CJ up for the rest of his career. So they have slightly antagonized him, but he's gone on and said, a lot of dudes come on these podcasts, oh yeah, I'm going to hit CJ in his face, I'm going to get him next year, where I'm from. So yeah, so that was on the podcast. This was on, his comments was on the Houston Chronicle, and he said that, what's he said? You could have shut me up right there, but you didn't. So what makes you think you're going to do it now? And if you do, I'm going to come back, bro. For real, this ain't no play, bro. Come on. I'm excited. We play them at their place. It's going to be rocking. Indy hates me already, and I love it. What's your take on that? Because when you've got two teams in the same division now with seemingly, if Richardson stays healthy, two really, really good quarterbacks, I feel like these comments are just going to ignite a hell of a rivalry between these two in the next 5-10 years.
I hope so. It made the AFC South interesting, right? It's not been interesting for a long time. The AFC South, I can attest to that. You know, even for a time, I could probably say it was one of the weakest divisions. That sounds really harsh, but
it was for years.
Yeah,
it was
for
years.
You know, so I hope so. As long as it stays about, you know, as long as it stays above the belt, I'm all for it. It's part of the game. It's, you know, as long as it doesn't turn nasty or like on the field it doesn't get unprofessional, then I'm for it. I'm younger me, and more, you know, it could be bothering me, and more someone who doesn't devote his energy to running after a toddler all his life and working and all that stuff. I'd maybe be more annoyed. And I think it's good fuel. And like you said, I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm sure everyone watched the All or Nothing documentary where Arteta got Ivan Toney's comments about a nice kick around with the boys. He knew how to harvest that. He knew what he was doing. It looked a bit silly and a bit funny and a bit cliche, but he knew what he was doing, and he got the best out of it. You know, if I'm Shane Steichen, I'm putting CJ Stroud's comments up in the locker room, saying this is what this guy's saying about you. But like I say, I think CJ Stroud will do well to remember that he beat a Gardner Minshew-led Colts with a very, very short defense. You know, we was missing a lot of pieces, and he only beat us because Minshew couldn't hit a 4th-and-1 pass to the running back. And like I say, last year it did annoy me. I was like, okay, this kid thinks he's something. Well, it turns out he is pretty good at throwing the football. So yeah, like as long as, like I say, as long as it's a healthy rivalry and they can fight on the field, as long as it's not unprofessional or throwing helmets at each other, and you know, I'm all for it. Philip Rivers was the king of trash talking. I saw it myself, and you have to be right. You're hitting each other for 60 minutes straight. You're running into these car crashes. You've got to lighten it up a bit, and he knows what he's doing. CJ Stroud, he's not stupid. He knows what he's doing, and I'll get annoyed if Gus Bradley calls a blitz on the first play, or Isaiah Franklin runs out of his assignment on his first play. You know, if we lose our concentration, that's when it will annoy me, because it's like he's done you. But as long as it doesn't get nasty about the comments or unprofessional, yeah, go for it. The season's starting. It's Super Bowl or bust, right?
Of course, yeah, of course. But yeah, that week 1 game against Texans, Harrison, win, loss or tie?
We need to break our week 1 losing streak or not winning on week 1 streak at some point. So better now than never, right? So I'll go for a win. Close one though.
Love it. Week 2, you're on the road to the Green Bay Packers. Win, loss or tie?
The Packers. Let me have a look. Where are we? There we are. It's a road one. Oh God, I'm not good at this because I just want to say 17-9, but I think we can sweep by. God, that's a tough one though. Oh God, I'll go for a loss. Not that I want to, but I think looking, it's early in the season. The big one's going to be, we might be resting on our laurels a little bit against the Texans if we beat them. So I'll go for a loss.
Okay, so then week 3 is against Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears at home.
I take a win there. I think you know, Chicago likes to put a lot of weight on their brand new all-star shiny quarterback, don't they? And when it doesn't work out, they like blaming him and it's all their fault and run him into the ground and get rid of him. And I think forgive me because I don't know if he's been sacked or he's still there, but if Matt Eberflus is still there as the head coach, yeah, I don't really worry about his play calling. So I'll go for a win there.
That's fair, especially when, even with all the confidence he has, Caleb Williams, he'll only be 3 games into his NFL career, and you could be, even Peyton Manning struggled in his rookie year. You know, not many quarterbacks do well in their first year. So yeah, there'll be some teething problems, especially so early on in the year. So I'd back you to win there, if I'm honest. Week 4 is at home again, but this time you're against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I would like to say win, but we really don't like playing the Steelers. It's like our bogey team. I don't know why. It's just we never seem to do good against them. But Shane Steichen is a good type of head coach where I don't think he'll let. He got asked a lot last year about the Jacksonville curse, and we've not won down in Jacksonville, and he batted it aside. He wasn't interested, and I like that from a head coach. So I'm going to go Colts win.
Love that.
Somebody's going to clip all this up when I.
Yeah, I got already waiting for March or no, for like February or May next year.
Yeah.
Week 6, another AFC South rival on the road. This time in Nashville against the Tennessee Titans.
Is it the Titans? I think it's the Jaguars after the Steelers.
Oh, sorry, I think I jumped the gun. I missed out. I think we mentioned the Jags. We had Jags week 5 and then Titans week 6. So did you say win for week 5 or week 4?
I went for week 4 against the Steelers. I went.
You went for the win, did you say?
Against the Steelers, yeah.
I think I must have heard the Jag thing. I thought you moved on. So
I did mention Jacksonville though.
Yeah, that's probably why I got confused. Yeah. So you got the win against the Steelers week 4. Yeah. Would you go for the win against the Jags week 5?
Yeah, why not? I think they're a bit of a dumpster fire anyway. I can say this because they're a rival, but they're a dumpster fire. Trevor Lawrence is a bum. He's a bust.
Do you reckon he's a bust? Do you reckon?
No, that is very harsh on me. What I did say before he got drafted is I don't think he's the number 1 overall guy. And I think who was it who drafted him for the Jaguars? Was it Urban Myers?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. I think my exact wording was he's not an Urban Myers quarterback, but the Jaguars are going to be pressured into taking him through, GM fan pressure. They want to say that's not a thing, but GMs definitely look at notice boards and chat rooms and stuff. And if the GM wants to protect himself, he can say, look, I drafted the guy you all wanted. That's my tin hat conspiracy anyway. But I've always said, not that I think he's a bust, I just didn't think he was the number 1 guy. And I think he's the 3rd best quarterback in the AFC South. So I'll go for the win there for the Colts.
So week 6, I mentioned before, against the Titans on the road.
I think I could see a win there. We need to start taking charge of the AFC South again. I don't think we've won it in so long. And this is the Colts' time to do it because it's going to, hopefully it's going to be between us and the Texans. I hope we're close. The Texans have got a lot of the right pieces, but a lot of expensive pieces, and it took a lot to acquire pieces. And it's a locker room where I can see if things are going well, it's really good, and you don't want to leave that locker room. But if things aren't going well, I can see the finger getting pointed very quickly at each other in the Texans locker room. I'm talking about other teams again, aren't I? The Titans. Yeah, we'll beat the Titans.
Okay, so in week 7 is against my team, the Miami Dolphins.
Seeing as how you've been so nice, I'll take the loss there. If you just want to ring up your boys now, say Harrison said the Colts take the loss there. No. Let's be real. The Dolphins are one of the best teams in the NFL at the minute, especially offensively. So that's all I can really say. I don't know much on your quarterback situation with. Is it Tua? I know Tua was there, and he's still fan favorite number 1.
Yeah, he's got given a new deal. He just given
quite a big one, right?
Yeah, he basically madly shows kind of time around. He's only more in 1 year than Marino earned his entire career, which shows how crazy it's got these days. I think it's something like maybe the 4th or 5th biggest in the league. Just the opinion, I'm not really his biggest fan. I don't think he's the guy. I don't think he's bad, but I don't think he's the guy that's going to win these Super Bowls. I think ultimately him and McDaniel will be the reason why we don't win Super Bowls, if I'm honest. But we don't. He's the best available we have. I don't think I won't take. I think if you get Cousins or Dak Prescott, and it's the exact same situation. So yeah, glad we got it sorted. Because the more dragged on, the more it would have caused more sort of negative sort of headlines, or sort of it was dominating the talk in the media with Daniel and all the players. So just get out of the way and focus on the football. For me, that's more important than anything else. But I don't really. I think most often Dolphins fans, a lot of them, they'll support him to the back end. Dolphins fans love him, but I don't think he's very polarizing quarterback on the field. I think off the field he's seemingly a very nice guy, but on the field, yeah, he does seem to polarize a lot of Dolphins and non-Dolphins fans.
Yeah, I mean, I like Tua. I think he's a pretty good quarterback, but I can't say I'm the person who's watched him week in, week out. Sorry.
No.
You know, but like I say, the Dolphin. I mean, you're looking at the Dolphins, the Chiefs, really, two of the better teams in the NFL at the minute. I'd take the loss there because I just don't think. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're going in the right way. Frank Reich did a good job of steadying the ship. Shane Steichen is starting to bring the ship back up. We're on the up escalator, but we're not quite at the Dolphins Chief levels yet.
Joe, that's the best answer I've ever heard on this podcast. We're on, I think, team 23 or 24. The best answer we've had of any team. The praise you just gave my team then, I absolutely loved it. All for it. Week 8 is a return. We mentioned the CJ Stroud comments earlier. This is the one where you go back to Houston, win, loss, or tie, Harrison.
I mean, it's on my birthday, so I've got to go for a Colts win, right?
Oh, amazing. On your birthday. Wow, that's, I believe it might have been just after the London game finished. I thought maybe it'd be coinciding with one of the London games, but no, just after. But that's amazing. I mean, actually, I had a golf game on my birthday last year, and it was the Bills lost in week 18, which cost us the division. So hopefully you have a nice birthday than me this year.
Let's hope so. But yeah, I mean, like I say, I do think, you know, CJ Stroud likes throwing these comments about, but I think he's forgetting that T.Y. Hilton owns the NRG Stadium. That's T.Y. Hilton Stadium. He scared them, and you know, he wore the clown mask, and David Clowney, I think it was at the time, thought he could stop it. It's just, they're like the little brother. They've grown a bit because they started going through high school. They've got a bit taller, but you still got to prove that you're the big brother, and you know, get out of here. The Colts win.
Fair enough. Love that. Yeah. Week 9, you carry on the road, but this time against the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, they've got the big injury, as we was talking about. You know, so week 9, it's a bit of, you never know when your new shiny toy gets injured and can't play. You never know if the guy coming in for him is going to be steady, nice and steady, and keep you going through the season, or he's the guy behind the guy, right, for a reason. He's not taking you anywhere. And, you know, this maybe could be one year for the Vikings where they go, look, if we don't win every game, is it the worst thing in the world? You know, we can get a new shiny toy, a weapon, maybe some offensive line power. I'm hoping for the latter when they come to playing the Colts. I'm hoping they're sort of about the playoff race by that time. So I'll go for a Colts win.
Okay, and then week 10 is a home game against the Buffalo Bills.
See, I still remember that Jonathan Taylor game where he got 5 touchdowns against them.
Oh, yeah.
That still rings fresh in my head. And I could watch it again fully now. But how I was saying about the Dolphins, we're not quite on that level yet. You know, we're going up in the right way, but we're just not there. That sounds like I'm digging my own team down, but for me, this season about keeping all the pieces fit and healthy, and we get a good go of it. So, yeah, I can see a loss there.
Okay, and in week 11, the AFC East tour continues as you take a road game against the New York Jets.
Yeah. The Jets. God, I know it's been a silly season, but who's their quarterback, is it?
It's Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, that's it, yeah. He went to the Jets. You know, that meme, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? You know, last season his Achilles fell off his bone like a overcooked lamb shank. So it's a New York Jets team that I think was riding a lot on last season being the season they turned their franchise around. You know, I think I can see a win there. I don't really see much threat from the Jets.
Okay, so in week 12 is a home game against the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, the Detroit Lions seem to be an all right football team for, God, a long time, right? You know, is it a home game?
It is home game, yeah.
See, if it was in Detroit, you might say it's. I don't know. Because of the. I'm sort of thinking styles versus styles here. Gus Bradley likes giving up easy yards, and Detroit's team can pick up easy yards. That's what they're good at. And sounds so stupid, right? They're good at picking up yards, but Bradley likes to sit off. He plays a lot of soft zone, and he rests a lot on them 4 guys getting to the quarterback. So they could really, if Dan Johnson, the head coach, got to try and Dan Campbell, that's it, the head coach. If he runs his usual smash mouth, we're running for 5 yards, we're running for 5 yards, we're running for 5 yards, we're passing, they could really run up the Colts, which is quite scary. But I'll go for a tie Colts win.
Okay. So that means you go 9-3 into your Week 13 game against the New England Patriots in New England.
I hate that place for so many reasons.
Yeah.
We can complain about deflated footballs, but it was still like 56-7 or something. Ridiculous. Yeah. And it's the. See, this is, I'll quickly refer back to soccer. If this is Alex Ferguson's Man United, I am scared of them, but it's not Bill Belichick's Patriots anymore. And they are not the same Patriots that they were when, sure, both me and you were watching the NFL, and I get to watch the Colts get to the divisional, the conference round, or wild card, or divisional round, and there's Tom Brady going, no, no, you're not getting past. It's just, even when you have a Manning and a Reggie Wayne and a Marvin Harrison, something just doesn't go your way, and you hate them forever, and they will always be Cheetos. So yeah, the Colts win there.
Love that. So then you got a Week 14 bye before a Week 15 road game in the Peyton Manning Bowl against the Broncos.
Peyton Manning Bowl. I wish he loved Indy as much as we loved him. The Peyton Manning Bowl, yeah. The Broncos, I mean, are they still with Russell Wilson at the helm?
No, he went in the off-season to Steelers. Yeah. They've now got it's a terrible, the QB room is Jarrett Stidham, Zach Wilson, and Bo Nix, their rookie quarterback. So, not a great situation for them.
I should know that because we have just played them in pre-season. But I've got to say, I must have watched 1 quarter of it.
I barely watched pre-season. And also, you have got a wedding on the weekend, so your mind's probably a bit, you probably haven't been thinking about who quarterback for which team that is in your team.
Yeah, true. From what I saw of the preseason game, our starters did well against their starters. Their starters did well against our second string, but our second string beat their second string. And that's a long way around of saying I think the Colts will be a better team. Well, I'm hoping the Colts will be a better team than them by then. And I don't think they will have figured out their quarterback room this year. So Colts win.
Yeah, I think whichever way you look at it, you've got a guy who's been a backup for his whole career, a guy who is one of the biggest NFL busts in recent years, or you got a guy who's a rookie quarterback, who albeit is one of the more polished NFL quarterbacks in that rookie class. He's still going to have teething problems. He's a rookie quarterback. They rarely do well in their first year, so yeah, not really a good year for them. Week 16 is your penultimate game at home. Is at home to the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, and I hate doing this because it all depends on how the AFC is going. It all depends on that. Oh God, and I'm sure some Titans fans will find this, but I feel like, oh God. I'm honestly, I know this is it's not great for an audio podcast because I can't think of the words, but it's one of them. I don't want to sound like a homer all the time, but the Titans are going to struggle this year, and that's not just like a dig at the Titans. I think, they took Carson Wentz the second for their fancy new quarterback, who for me, he's okay. I think his agent did very well to get him to go. Well, he went in the second round eventually, didn't he? But his agent did very well to get him in talk of top 4 quarterback for that draft. So I'll go for a Colts win. I've got a backing.
Week 17 is your final road game of the regular season. A trip to New York against the Giants.
Yeah, I can't say. Honestly, I know much about the Giants right now. I wish I did, because I wish I was more informed on all of the teams in the NFL. But is Saquon left New York?
Yeah, gone to Philly.
Yeah, he went to Philly, didn't he? So they tried building a team around the running back. It didn't work. The quarterback situation there isn't great. I'll go for a win. It's one of them. This could be a get rid of everyone season for the Giants if nothing goes well. If stuff's going well, then it's football, isn't it? That could happen.
And then week 18 is your final game of the season. It's a home game against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
They'll be looking to rain on our parade. They'll be looking to dampen it. Maybe they are up there chasing in that race with the Texans and the Colts. They'll be looking. And if the record I've gone off is true, then we're sort of what have I got as that so far?
So it would be 13-3.
Excellent, easy work. We're probably looking at a decent playoff berth there, so there might be a few rested people. So I'll take the loss there.
Okay, so that is 13-4, which definitely gets you in the playoffs. You would think most likely have division winners. Yeah, maybe even division winner, maybe even number 1 seed. If it does come true, you get a 13-4, you head into the playoffs. How far will you go in the playoffs?
Super Bowl all the way. I've
love that. Love the optimism. Love that.
We're not here to take part. We're here to win it.
I do think you're definitely a dark horse, but you are I believe our 4th fan that predicted to go the whole way. We had Bills, then we've had the Niners, then the Lions, and now you. And we've got the Chiefs coming up in the next few days. So that'll probably add a 5th to that list.
Yeah, that's the fun of watching, right? If we don't think we're going to win it, we don't watch. That's me being a homer. Obviously, I take some of them predictions with a pinch of salt. But if I'm being realistic and I'm looking for progression, I'd be happy with, a decent playoff run. If we can win 2 games in the playoffs, even if we just win 1 and do well in the second one, I can be more than happy. If we're being a realist about it, but that's not what we're here for. We're fans, we're dieharders, we're homers. We love our team, so we're winning the Super Bowl. And you know what? We're going undefeated, 17-9.
I mean, don't do that, because that's the only thing we have over teams is the unbeaten record. It's the one thing we have. We don't have, any recent success, any recent playoff wins. That unbeaten record from 1972 team is our last saving grace. The players still every year. They'll meet for champagne. They'll meet up every year. The day when the last team left unbeaten loses, they meet have a drink together. So yeah, I'm hoping we can
keep that
early this
year. Yeah, but no, we're going all the way. I've got to believe it. That's the whole fun of it.
I'm probably the other way, if I'm honest. All that sort of mentality went out the window when Gerrard slipped. Ever since then, I've never been the same as a sports fan. That game turned me from being an optimist to being a pessimist. And yeah, I can't ever get that, because I was like so in. I was like thinking we're going to win the league finally, and I was so convinced we're going to win the league, and then that happened. So yeah, I'm never going to be like that again. I think I'm definitely the other way around now. But I absolutely love your optimism, and I think it's this is why I love doing fan previews, because you get this sort of emotion, you get this sort of real sort of fan sort of thoughts, and I absolutely love it. Before we do go, first of all, thank you again for coming on, Harrison, and great to have you on for your debut on the show. For those who want to follow you on socials, how can they find you or the UK Colts fan page?
Yeah, so my tag on X, I mean, at the minute, UK Colts fans, we're looking at rebuilding, having a proper professional website done, and all that jazz, so we can centralise everything, I think, on a bit of a darker note. We can all see the dark side of social media recently, especially certain sites. I'm not going to mention one because I don't want you to get any trouble from any South African people who own a multi-billion-pound company. But beside the point, and back to it, because this is about sports and about fun. You can find us at UK Colts fans on multiple sites, on YouTube as well. We're going to be starting up our shows again. Last year was a lot of reaction shows, and to the games and the wins and losses. But we're going to be looking at doing more fan orientated content, having other fans on like yourself, and just trying to make it not for us, but we're trying to make the NFL space bigger in the UK. I love the growth so far. A lot of more casual fans are getting involved, which is great. And I just want it to grow over here, because I think the NFL possibly looking at an expansion team over here, which would be nice. And I mean, the last thing for me is I want to apologise to all Liverpool fans, because I did not know how stressful it was being in a title race with Man City. I was like, this is horrible. I'm not enjoying it. We're like the best Arsenal have been in 20 odd years, and I'm not enjoying it because it's just so stressful. So I know what you're going through. Well, I know what you went through, and yeah, that's the fun of sports, right? It's all about men kicking a ball or throwing a ball around.
Yeah, you look at the grand scheme, that is all it is. But it does grab you. It does grab you. I mean, nothing gets more excited when it goes well, more stressed when it goes wrong, than watching a Liverpool Miami Dolphins game. And looking back, and now, I did find, whilst the best football I've seen us play was 18-19, the year where we got all those points, didn't win the league, but won the Champions League, I should have really enjoyed it more. Yeah. But I took the results to heart. I still do, but not as much as I used to take results to heart, results. And but at the end of the day, as you can see from my right, is it? Yeah, my right. When it eventually comes off, it means a lot. And you've seen your team win Premier Leagues, but that was my first experience of it. And yeah, even though the classic thing, only won one title, it was behind closed doors.
I don't care.
Couldn't give a shit, basically. It's seen. Yeah, I've never seen it before, and it was. And the league was won, to be fair, before COVID was even a thing. So, looking back, it's amazing thinking we only dropped points once before that mid-March game against Watford. It's just insane. That is where we will end the podcast for today. So, once again, huge thank you for Harrison for coming on, and we will see you guys on next Team Season TV, which will be the Philadelphia Eagles. See you then.